It's like a dog or a lion that sees you running, that sees you running. Oh my goodness, this is so perfect. It says in the Bible that the enemy goes around like a roaring lion, seeking who he may devour. He goes around like a roaring lion because there are people running from that lion. There are people running in fear from that lion. But when you stand your ground against any type of affliction, any trauma that you've been through, you don't let your trauma chase you. You stand firm. And so what's going on, everybody? Mezariah here, and I'm back with another video. Today's video, we're talking about the evidence being in your peace. A lot of us have problems not understanding if we are healed or not, and we need to know, and it's important for us to know so we will not be confused. So before we start this video, please like, subscribe, comment, share this video with anybody that may resonate with this video, that you think may resonate with this video. We are in a time where people need healing, understanding, knowledge, and power in Christ. So this is going to be somewhat of a short video. I want people to understand that when you are healing, it is a process. It is, a time period that it takes place. It doesn't happen overnight, and I think we all know that. But we have to understand where we are in our walk, and we got to know the specifics. So if we are just left out in the world, not understanding where we are and what our heart is feeling, some of us need that confirmation, and a lot of us don't know. We question our heart a lot because our heart is deceptive. We are deceptive to our own selves, and we need to know how God feels about us, what God is saying about us, where we are. And if you are feeling peaceful and you are feeling yourself climb out this spiritual hole that you were in, and you have the faith and the peace that you have, that is still the peace that we keep still, that God tells us to keep still, and we can feel that power in us, right? And we know that we are moving forward, then the evidence is in your peace. That's why that is the title of this video. The evidence is in your peace. Because when we have that feeling of security, of God showing us, hey, you are moving forward, and I'm creating this new thing in your life, and you can actually feel it, then you are on your way to a better perspective, a better life spiritually, because this is the art of being reborn, the art of renewing yourself, the 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 art of coming into your new self is a very ugly one. And I want people to know that they have to remember the ugly part. It's just like when you start out drawing, it's the ugly phase before you get to the really pretty part and the glamorous drawing that you just did, because there's an ugly stage in everything that you do. Even when you're growing out your locks, nobody likes to go through the ugly stage, but this is how every part of your life is. You have to go through the ugly stage, and it looks a lot like hell because this is something new to you. This is just it can be hard, but a lot of us become hopeless, and then we don't want to continue on. But you have to be consistent in everything. So the evidence being in your peace. So a lot of the times we make these decisions for our lives. We get rid of people, we depart from people, we make these big decisions where we are doing away with everything, everybody. But the way the world perceives it, sometimes they can look like we are the common denominator in a lot of the warfare that we go through. But it's not really in that sense. A lot of them are going to look at us as if we are the bad person. If they can pinpoint you in every situation, and you being the reason why you're falling out with people and doing all these things, then it's going to look like that you are the main culprit. You are the culprit. You are the reason why you're going through all these things. And sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes that is the case. A lot of the times people look at it as you being the bad guy because you are the one that can be affiliated with all of these different problems. You are the only person. But sometimes you have rare instances with people like me and you where we have to cut people off daily, or we have to stop dealing with people due to the obedience that we have to stay in, that we have to walk in. Because when it's a difference between you doing or making a decision off your trauma as opposed to you having a dream, having a vision, having a message from God to stop dealing with certain people. And it'll look a certain way, like I said. And the evidence being in your peace. So you can have a billion people telling you you're a bad guy, you're a person that is not good, you're heartless, you're cold, right? But then you have your relationship with God on the other side, and He's telling you, if you want peace, you have to do this. All throughout the Bible, God is not concerned with anybody's emotions. When He sends someone to prophesy, let's say He sends someone to prophesy, He's not worried about the people's emotions and how they deal with it. He's not concerned about that. So when He tells you to do something, right, He's not concerned with other people's emotions and how they feel about what He told you to do. And you have to make sure that every decision that you make is not rooted in any pride, in any type of ego or anything like that. Because pride is deceptive, ego is deceptive. So on our part, we have to make sure when we are doing something in the name of the Lord, we have to make sure that there's no faulty foundation here. And we got to make sure that we're hearing from God, because the people on the other side that are probably doing the same thing that we do when getting rid of people, dropping people, they are doing it on a foundation of trauma. And there's a certain type of fear or paranoia or warfare when you do things on the foundation of trauma. You see what I'm saying? When you do things at a certain rate, when you know God chastises you quickly, right? And you know that you are going to God about every little thing, everything, you're praying fervently, praying to God, and you make these big decisions, and you know your relationship with God, you know your language with God, you know how you speak, you know how you hear from God, then most of the time you understand what to do. But you have people that are on the other side that are irrational, that do the same thing that me and you do, but they do it with malicious intent, they do it irrationally, they do it with bitterness, anger, and all of these bad things, and they don't have a real foundation. So there's a certain type of paranoia, a certain type of fear that comes with doing things on the foundation of trauma, or on the foundation of the devil. The devil, y'all, he wants to keep us in trauma. He wants us to be um, squared away. He wants us to be hopeless. He doesn't want us to feel like we have hope. And the evidence is in your peace. The evidence is in your peace. If you are healed, if you know how you feel with the peace that you have, then you should know your answer. You should know if you are healed. You should know if you're making the right decision. You see what I'm saying? You should know that you're making the right decision. And when you do things on the foundation of trauma, there's a certain level of confusion. And the confusion, it stifles you. And then it's like a trickle effect. Once you make the wrong decision on the foundation of whatever evil stronghold that is in your life, then it continues to go and go and go and go. And you continue to feel hopeless. You see what I'm saying? So when you continuously make these decisions on the foundation of God, and you become hopeful and more hopeful, then that's God talking to you. That's God telling you the right thing to do. No matter what decision you have to make on the foundation of God. Excuse me for rubbing my eye like that. I'm looking crazy in this camera. Oh, my eyes itching. But there is a pattern that you have to make sure that you are understanding. God talks in patterns. He confirms through patterns of showing you the same answer over and over. You know what I mean? Like he or giving you that same feeling over and over. I, you know, God talks to you and warns you about things when you, let's say for me, for instance, I wake up from dreams and I know when it's a bad dream, even if I don't understand or interpret the dream, I will wake up with this big pit in my stomach. It will feel so uncomfortable. So you know that God warns you about danger ahead. You see what I'm saying? The enemy is not as intelligent as he think he is. God will show you and speak to you in so many different ways. He said he comes in the night, in the dreams of men at night, and he warns them. That's what he said he does. A lot of people say, well, the devil gives dreams. The devil doesn't give dreams. And this is a whole nother topic right now because this is one of my ways of communication with God. But that the devil doesn't give dreams. He can come into the dream and sow seeds and sow whatever he wants to sow, but he doesn't give you the dream. He can sow deception. He can do so many different things. He can afflict you. And I'm telling you now, the devil is so predictable. He's not as clever as God. He can never be as clever as God because Yah will he will show you a plot twist out of nowhere. He will give you so many different avenues of how you can go about something. The devil will do the same thing over and over and over, just in a different form. And he's very, very, very predictable. But my point is, you know your language with God, and He will show you in so many different ways, and He will even grow that communication with you, and it will go right back to the evidence being in your peace. When you hear that answer, when God is talking to you, when He shows you things, when you know, let's say, you know you're not overly obsessed with tearing down a person. You know you're not, but the Father keeps sending you dreams about a person, and you don't want to drop this person as a friend. You go to God about it for months at a time. And here's the thing. Here's the way you really know. When you have long suffering, that's one of the fruits of the spirit, right? When you have long suffering and you're willing to not, well, you're willing to hear a person out and you're willing to wait for what God is saying to you, you may suffer for 8 months at a time just to hear the answer for you to not drop a person, for you to not get rid of a person. And then all of a sudden you finally make that decision because you waited. You took the time out to wait, to suffer for a long time, to be patient about the answer that you want or that you need, that you need from God, so you won't make the wrong decision. The devil, he is very quick. He wants fast results. He's quick about trying to disrupt you. He wants quick results. So when you know that you have been patient for waiting for an answer from God, then He will continuously show you, and He will be patient with you. He will show you as you're waiting what He needs for you to know, because we are humans. We don't live in the spiritual realm. Our spirits have access to the spiritual realm, but we are in this dimension living as humans. So time is different. Time moves different. You know what I mean? So that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother topic. But my point is, the evidence is in your peace. Make sure your peace is not in ego or pride. Make sure your peace is not rooted in any trauma, because a lot of people do live it through their trauma, and they're peaceable in their trauma. They're not really peaceable, but they'll say, and they'll put up this facade and this mask, and they'll have this I don't give a F attitude about what I what I've been through, but basically they'll say you'll just have to deal with it. This is my trauma. This is who I am. They identify with their trauma and they make decisions based on that trauma. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people will want to project, and they'll say that you are living in your trauma and that you're not healed and you are making the wrong decisions. And the evidence is in your peace. It always goes back to your peace. How do you feel? How do you perceive these things? Are you looking through the lens of trying to overly protect your heart? We are to guard our heart from the world. We are to guard our hearts because for it flows the issues of life. That says that in Proverbs 4:23. We are to guard our heart, but we are not obsessed with guarding our heart to the point where we are being in fear of being broken. Because let me tell you, when you obsess over one thing, when you're trying to overly protect anything, it always winds up happening to you. The one thing that you're trying to protect yourself from always happens to you. Because why is that? Because obsession is just a form of fear. And when you are in fear, you open yourself up to things to happen to you. And that means that you're not trusting God the way that you're supposed to. So we know that we're not supposed to overly be, obsessive over certain things when we are trying to protect ourselves from things. That's never going to work out for us because we are to be balanced with everything. And the more unbalanced we are, the more our door can open easily for things to come in and afflict us. So it is balance is key. And there's a lot of keys. The peace that you have is key, but balance is one of the biggest keys that you can have with everything. There's balance to everything. So it is very unwise for people like me and you to overly protect ourselves from anything, to keep things from happening to us, because we know they're bound to happen. The more we try to protect ourselves in a trauma based way, the more it's going to happen. You see, the more you try to run from your fears, the more it's going to chase you. It's like a dog or a lion that sees you running. Oh my goodness, this is so perfect. It says in the Bible that the enemy goes around like a roaring lion, seeking who he may devour. He goes around like a roaring lion because there are people running from that lion. There are people running in fear from that lion. But when you stand your ground against any type of affliction, any trauma that you've been through, you don't let your trauma chase you. You stand firm. And so when you make these decisions, when you make these decisions to get rid of people, to make these big decisions to stop dealing with anything in your life, you will do it on a strong foundation, and that foundation is the rock, which is Christ. And your evidence will be the peace that you have. The evidence will be the peace that you have in the decisions that you make. So that's all, guys. I really love you guys. I'm going to talk to you guys again tomorrow, next week, whatever. I'm not sure, but I love you guys. I hope that edifies you. I hope that helps you understand that we have to understand our language with Yah. We have to understand where we stand with Yah and how we talk to Yah. We should be doing this daily, consistently, and understanding where you stand in your own relationship. So I'm out. I'll talk to you guys.